Which one's the best crypto asset? Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Which one's the best crypto asset? Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Which one's the best? 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 What's the second best?
This is Discover Crypto. I'm your host, DZ. Smash the like buttons because we have a major show for you today. I know I say that a lot, but today, jam-packed with crypto news. We're going to talk about Texas adding Bitcoin to their balance sheet. We're going to talk about the Thanksgiving effect on Bitcoin. Major news from Coinbase. They're giving us 9 avenues to put our money into. And the Fed chair from Trump is going to be wildly pro-crypto. And we're going to talk about what that means and look a little into his background. Joined here by TJ today. TJ, how are you doing today? You ready for Turkey Day tomorrow?
I am. Yeah, we're hosting some stuff, so I've got a little running around to do after this. Go pick up a ham, that sort of stuff. But no, feeling really good. Happy to be here. Missed you guys yesterday, but I mean, every day I get up and I see the news in crypto, and I just get more and more bullish. I know there's a lot of fear out there right now. If you guys haven't been in this space for a while, I completely understand that. But I mean, DZ and I were talking about it before the show. This is probably more interesting to me than a lot of the retail people, but JP Morgan launching a Bitcoin bond related product is very, it's got me about as bullish as I could ever be. I'm still holding on to a little bit of cash just in case we go a little bit lower. I do feel this low 80s was probably near the bottom. I've deployed I'd say 2/3 of my cash have been deployed. I deployed a third just under 100. A third in the 80s, kind of that 80, 85, 87 range, kind of right around 87K, just below. And then I've still got a third left that I'm kind of waiting just in case we go back down into the 70s. But I don't think so. And when I read the news like I see today, it makes me want to just yeet all the rest of it in there because I could not be more bullish for next year and the near future for crypto. Just seeing the global macro positioning that's happening all around the world right now.
Let's reset. What are you thankful for? And chat, what are you thankful for?
I'm glad you asked that. Fun fact, if you guys don't know, we do this at Discover Crypto. We used to do it every single day. We do it a lot more often than just around Thanksgiving, but I'm thankful for a lot. We have a lot to be grateful for. Just being in the U.S., having safety around us, having family around us, being able to have a nice meal. My daughter's health. I have a lot of friends that have kids, and I can't imagine the feeling of dealing with health issues for your child and feeling very hopeless. So, I mean, my health, my family's health, both my parents are healthy, have a sound mind. I get to spend the holidays with them. And, all of you guys in the chat, I'm really grateful to have a community to come hang out, talk crypto with, and not feel like an insane person out there by myself. So, couldn't, Bitcoin, obviously, a way out of a system that's designed to keep us down.
You with the laundry list here, everybody. Let me know what you're thankful for, folks. And you said you're getting ham. Is ham better than turkey, or is turkey better than ham? What is the supreme protein for Thanksgiving? And let me know if you're team ham or team turkey.
Team ham here, but you got to tell us what you're thankful for too.
I might be a team turkey if it's good, but it's got to be good, everybody. All right, let's talk about Bitcoin.
Wait. You got to tell us what you're thankful for.
I'm thankful for the Disco fam, and I am thankful. I don't have too much family, but Kat, my wife, does. So we're gonna go see her. So always thankful for family as well. But let's talk about Bitcoin. This is on the 24-minute chart. You can see it on the 30-minute. You can see it on the 10-minute. Bitcoin in a little bit of the bear flag. Remember we talked about the bear flag yesterday. Potential downside target. We could just kind of rerun it here. Not saying guaranteed it's going to go this level, but we have a potential breakdown from this little bull or bear flag pennant. Bitcoin saying we could go all the way as low as about 74 or 75K. Right now, Bitcoin did lose the parallel structure here, but if we zoom in, let's just say go to the 5-minute, look at that. It is bouncing around, trying to stay inside, losing support, and now getting rejected after it tried to get back inside of that range. We're going to talk about the Thanksgiving effect now. Thanksgiving, the bear market, 22. What did Thanksgiving look like? So it was November 24th, 2022. And if you look at that, this was November 24th. Let me get it right here. This candle right there. So the Tuesday ahead of time, I guess the Monday of the Thanksgiving week was the bottom for Bitcoin. So are we going to see a bottom for Bitcoin right near Thanksgiving for 2025. And you can see if we just kind of go in, not on the Monday, well, let's see, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday, Sunday, Saturday, the Friday before. So yet again, within the week. So we might have another bottom within the week of Thanksgiving if we can manage to bounce. And one of the things that might make us bounce is what we're seeing out of Coinbase. Now, Coinbase does have, I saw this newsletter and I was like, I got to share this since tomorrow is Thanksgiving. 4 crypto questions your family might ask at Thanksgiving dinner. I'm not going to do the first 3 because it hurts, because it pains me, because it makes my chest palpitate. Why is crypto down so much recently? I don't even think they're going to ask that because that would require they actually kind of know what's going on in the markets. I don't see that one. Is crypto really becoming part of the financial system? TJ will ask his son that or his daughter that in 15. No one else is asking that question, though. Where else is being crypto used? Not a question anyone's going to ask. But this one, this is the question we're going to get. Is now a good time to buy? Chat, yes or no? TJ, how do you answer this question? Hey, Anon, I'm interested. Is now a good time to buy crypto? What do you say?
I always say yes. Yes, it's always now's a good time to buy Bitcoin. There's never a bad time to buy Bitcoin, in my opinion. Then I'll launch into my whole spiel about how it's a long-term investment, it's a hedge, it's a hold, it's a store of wealth. But yes, I mean, now is a good time for a lot of reasons. One, the price is down a lot off the all-time high. You're buying a dip, so yes, timing-wise, it's a good time to buy. But also, explaining to people, no action is actually an action. If you don't buy Bitcoin, you're actually choosing to buy dollars or stay in dollars, so to speak. So to me, that's why it's killing me to hold on to this cash that I have right now. Like, it's actually very difficult for me to hold on to cash because I just can't get out of the dollar fast enough. I see, the inflation that's coming in 2026 is going to be astronomical. The amount that they're about to print, the way everything's positioning with the Fed, the big beautiful bill, the spending bills, all this different stuff, all these deals that they're making, these trade deals, these expending, they're basically, you probably covered it while I was out, but they basically came out the other day and said they'll back the AI companies kind of forever. They'll print their way into, helping these AI companies get the energy they need and all that sort of stuff. So the money printer is getting warmed up. They're buying new ink. You can smell it. They're just ready to print.
Yeah, the best way I heard that described is there is a new Manhattan project, and that is prop up the data centers.
Right. Yeah.
AI.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. That new Manhattan project. Yeah, it's 100% what I'm talking about. And they're basically, doesn't matter if it's $1 trillion, $2 trillion, $3 trillion. I mean, people just, I've said this 100 times, but I'll say it again. There's $3.5 trillion of new money in the big, beautiful bill that starts to go into effect next year. $3.5 trillion. They're going to do 3 more spending bills after that, all estimated to be at least $1 trillion each. So that's another, say, $3 trillion. So we're talking about $6 trillion being created in the very near future. I do not want to be in dollars. I see this guy, Coffee Drinker. I don't know. Sure, that's fine. You don't have to. This is all just my opinion. I've done pretty well over the years. How are you doing, Coffee Drinker? Just sitting there drinking your coffee?
Hey, man, you know what? I'll take a little sip with him, or take a little sip of the hot bean juice. All right. Well, I have solidarity with you. All right. Let's talk about the news here. This is the major news. Now, a quick follow-up for the chat. They'll say, what coins should I buy? What do you answer? I might just say Chainlink, but here's the awesome news that we're seeing. Kevin Hassett is now President Trump's top choice to replace Jerome Powell as the Federal Reserve Chair. You can see him right here on the left. This is Jerome Powell on the right. And this is going to be very bullish. A former Coinbase advisor, we're going to talk about this advisory board, is the front runner for the next Fed chair, and you're bearish right now, could not be me. This is going to be very bullish for crypto. Here's 3 quick assessments, and we're going to do a little bit of a deeper dive. If he does become the Fed chair, implications are strongly bullish. He's an aggressive dove, publicly criticized current rates for being too high, advocate for more cuts, led the White House Digital Asset Working Group to shape pro-crypto regulation, and also served on Coinbase's advisory board and owns a large stake in Coin. I'm going to tell you the amount. It's probably higher than you're expecting here. So most traders are watching December rate cut odds, but they're missing the bigger story, which is who becomes the next chair. Right now, Kevin Hassett is the front runner. Here's why it matters. So we said he's the most dovish candidate. He openly supports aggressive rate cuts, prioritizes growth over inflation, and the most aligned with the Trump White House on easing financial conditions, making looser monetary policy. If appointed, the bar for quantitative easing in 2026 is much, much lower, dramatically lower. The bar for rate cuts also becomes lower, and the entire market expectations for yields, the dollar, and risk assets are going to shift. So this is why you've been observing a bounce in stocks, some weakness in the dollar, and the yields falling, and gold pushing higher. Traders already front-running this idea. So don't just look at the December cut. Look at the political pressure around the Fed, because the leadership will determine the entire macro framework. What do we mean by that will determine that? This is what does the Hassett Fed look like? If Steve Moran's dot plot, this is just showing targeted rates for where they would like the Fed rates to be at. So it zooms in a little too much if I use that screen. This is the green line is where it's at. So this is the Fed governors. All the yellow dots is kind of acting as a vote. You're normally expecting this. That's this guy. This guy wants aggressive rate cuts. If it feels up to him, we'd be below 2.5% instead of, hovering around 3% right now. This guy's going to be very, very bullish for crypto. Let's do a little bit of a deeper dive. Here's Kevin Hassett, seen giggling at Fartcoin relative to Bitcoin. Now, he's a long history working. He is a conservative. In the first Trump administration, we're talking about 2016 to 2020. He was the 29th chairman of the Council of Economic Advisors. He also went to Columbia Business School. This is a Washington, D.C. insider school. Talked about Columbia Business School before. He was a professor there, 89 to 93. In 1992, he then started working for the government at the Federal Reserve Board. He was in the Division of Research and Statistics. And then he also started working for George H.W. Bush. It was bipartisan. He then would also work in the Bill Clinton administration. And so this is the top pick for the Fed chair. So crypto-friendly economic advisor has reportedly emerged as the top candidate. Now, Jerome is going to step down in May, but he's only going to step down from the reserve chair position. He'll still be on the board. Now, Hassett is the director of the National Economic Council, who, like we said, oversaw the Digital Asset Working Group. So Powell's time up is in May, but his tenure is actually lasting until January 28. Now, asked by Fox News if he would take the job, Hassett said, "Of course, I'd have to say yes, because I want to serve my country and I want to serve my president." And seen here laughing at your altcoin bleeding against Bitcoin. Now, in June, Hassett reportedly discussed he owns at least $1 million worth of coin stock. He's also paid by Coinbase a $50,000 salary to work on their academic and regulatory advisory council. Now, if you look at this council, TJ, a who's who is on this council. We got a Republican senator. We got a Democrat congressman. We have Chris Lehane, probably a billionaire. He's an executive at OpenAI, one of the top executives at OpenAI. I don't know what his equity is, but let's just assume this guy is a very well-connected Democrat billionaire. We also have a Democrat out of New York, served on the House of Representatives for a decade. And then we got this guy right here, also a DC insider. He is a Democrat. He's been working since Bill Clinton era. And this guy is a pollster, and he actually ran John Biden's polling numbers. He ran the poll numbers for John Biden. Now, also, we have SEC chairs. We got CIA general counsel on this list. We got people from the Hoover Institution. I've talked about that before. And we also got John Orzag, also another Washington, D.C. insider there. So very, very powerful council. This guy is now joining it. And this is very, very bullish for crypto. This guy, really good shot at pumping your bags.
Yeah, absolutely. Almost everything. Again, every time I turn around, Hassett being a pick. We've got, I saw this morning too, where they are not, the ISE, which I don't even know what that is going to raise the position limits for BlackRock's ETF options. So basically, people trading options on IBIT. There's a bigger appetite for this. They want to trade more. They want to be able to do larger contracts. I think up to 1 million contracts, which is a huge jump because I think they were starting at 25,000 standard limit. So we're going to a million for this one. The standard's 25,000. Just goes to show the appetite for trading this stuff is absolutely massive. I know you mentioned at the top of the show, Texas buying it. That's substantial as we finally have a state strategic reserve. I think I saw a stat, about the Texas news saying Texas joins, we've got Abu Dhabi who's bought IBIT, we've got Harvard Endowments Fund, and now the state of Texas. And they said, I think this is the first time ever the same ETF has been bought by 3 entities like that, which just goes basically IBIT, I think, has been out a little over 2 years or close to 2, maybe a little under, close to 2 years. And it's just smashed every single record. And for a long time, that's been the easiest way to pitch it to people that are new and they don't understand, like, oh, is Bitcoin legitimate? And say, well, yeah, Bitcoin has been the BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF has been far and away the best performing ETF of all time ever, smashing gold. And it just continues to set record after record after record.
Including outflow records lately.
Yeah.
I'm joking. I'm being facetious there.
Because you look into that and it's really small it was like 3% of the assets under management. So yeah, they set records for their outflows just because there's almost always been weekly inflows, and then they almost always make that back. So yes, there was some selling into the fear, but I think a lot of those people have actually rebought. And that was something worth mentioning. What do you got there? What's that?
Oh, there's just the odds.
Oh,
the fresh odds from Polymarket. He is the front runner now. No announcement is highly likely, but you come in, he is 4x more likely than the next candidate there.
And there was rumors about him even before this announcement. It was like that he was very much rumored to be Trump's pick. So and yeah, extremely bullish for Bitcoin. Also extremely bullish to kind of keep that Trump's playbook in play, where not only are we going to be printing a lot of money, but we will see a lot more rate cuts. I mean, at one point, it's funny, the day after I said they're definitely cutting rates in December, the odds were like 70% that they weren't going to cut them. And then fast forward another 24, 48 hours, now they're 70, 80% that they will cut rates in December. I think we continue to see rate cuts in 2026. And, crypto is absolutely going to pump, but everything is going to pump, in my opinion. You're going to see stocks and equities, commodities, all of that stuff going up because we're going to be printing a ton of dollars.
All right. We got a dark horse candidate. CZ is going to be the next chair. I don't know about that one. All right. But let's go from the Coinbase Economic Council to the Coinbase Bull Market Plan for 2026. They revealed 9 crypto ideas they want to bankroll in 2026, 9 investment priorities for next year. And these are ones they're actively seeking to invest in, teams that they want to invest in. Now, this article kind of fudges it up. I'll just go straight to the source material. So it's 4 sectors, and most of these sectors have, a couple different ways you can invest in it. So number 1, RWA. I think we've talked about this ad nauseum. We'll probably put a video deeper dives. I don't want to, speak for, I think it's you said Drew might be working on this.
I think we're gonna do a deep dive into this and kind of give a
coin
how you can take this and turn it into a strategy.
Yeah.
We did pretty well with that in the past, looking deep into what some of these well-positioned VCs are doing, and that's how we got onto the base ecosystem very early. And RWAs.
I got something for you, Drew. He's lurking right now. He's lurking in the background. Spam your coin when I say the sector. And maybe he'll throw that in as the choice there. So number 1, RWAs. Probably a lot of people are going to type in XLM. Maybe some people
Ondo, Plume.
Ondo, man. All right. Number 2, alternative prop AMMs, automatic market makers here. So this one is probably going to be a little bit harder, but essentially think DeFi. And one of the ones that there looks like they might be focusing on Solana. Then we have trading terminals for prediction markets. Very bullish on the prediction market side. Definitely.
If you're a builder right now, this is what I was saying the other day. If you're a builder or coder, it's never been easier to make these type of applications. But building tools for prediction market traders is some very low hanging fruit. Very, like building tools for DeFi is a huge need in the space, and building tools for prediction markets, I think that right there is going to explode. They're going to
one thing I worry about is prediction markets. I don't want people to buy a small micro cap that's under 50 million. We're the next Kalshi, we're the next Polymarket, and then they're going to just be worth 0 in 12 months.
Yeah, I wouldn't be looking
the winners.
Kalshi and Polymarket are the winners. There's going to be a lot of 3rd, 4th, 5th competitors, but
it might just be Polygon in a weird way.
Yeah, could be.
Then we got next gen DeFi perpetual markets, composability. So maybe look at some perps. You know, we've talked about EdgeX. You can maybe earn some points for the airdrop there. Might be some opportunity. Unsecured lending and credit. Unsecured lending. I mean, DeFi's next frontier. So there's, you know, looking at unsecured credit lines. I saw one person. Yeah, you're not going off your credit score. You're going off your aura. And I was like, that's not a terrible way of describing it there. Like, yeah, we don't care about your FICA score. We care about your aura on X. Sure. All right. Then we got on-chain privacy. So, what, you know, is this going to be a Zcash? Is this going to be Midnight? Is this going to be Monero? You know, let us know what you're looking at. And then we have AI and robotics sector, and it's going to be the last 3 phases of the 9. Robotics, humanoid data collection. This one is going to be interesting. I think the robotics winner is Tesla. Tesla's increasingly making a larger and larger portion of my definitely stock portfolio and creeping into my regular portfolio as well. I don't know if you have any robotics, you know, alpha there.
There's some good stuff in the Discord. We've got a stonks section, and I think in a lot of ways, Trump and the administration have kind of signaled to what they're going to pump. Energy, AI, robotics, I think, is up there. But that's interesting. Robotics, humanoid data.
Yeah, they don't say human data collection.
No, that's
humanoids.
Yeah, it is interesting.
So you know what I heard? The best robot out there is the Cybertruck. What do you? I don't know if you, I was like, I think that might be accurate. It might be accurate there because I drive a Tesla and I basically am in a autonomous vehicle. I'm in a weapon. I'm in a robot. You can use a lot of words to describe what I'm.
Yeah,
I just press the button and let Jesus take the wheel.
I saw
Elon.
or Elon's Skynet or whatever. But yeah, I saw a thing today. Somebody posted, you know, our kids aren't going to learn how to drive. They'll never learn how to drive a vehicle, which is an interesting thought.
Do you know how to drive stick shift? Now, TJ, you do. You drove Paul Walker's car, right?
Yeah, it actually, they don't make it. Yeah, it was an automatic paddle shifter, but I drove stick shift for a long time. I think not my first car, but one of the first cars I bought was a old Z3.
I learned on a 92 Accord. What was the last car you had that was stick shift? It's probably better than a 92 Accord.
Yeah, I think the last stick shift car I had I drove a 96 M3 for a while, like the E36 body style, which is one of my favorite cars I ever had. That might have been the last one I had that was stick shift, but yeah, I haven't driven a stick in a while, but I love it. I miss driving a stick shift. It's nothing more. You definitely feel like you're driving a lot more when it's stick shift. Kelly on the Forester. That's funny.
All right. 1950s.
I never knew he was a lesbian.
We also have WorldCoin sector here. I mean, this is going to be what do they have? Proof of humanity. That's going to be, you know, maybe you could also argue ZK knowledge rollups, something like that. AI for on-chain development and security. So not just anything in AI, not agentic AI, but AI specifically for, you know, building and security. So maybe Drew can pick some winners out of there, and then we'll have people look.
Yeah, if Steve-O was here, he'd be shouting about virtuals right now. I still think virtuals has a shot. It kind of sits on a couple of those categories, but
all right, let's talk a little Bitcoin. Let's get a little scary here. This is something I had to double check, and so we're going to check ourselves. Bitcoin has never made a new all-time high after closing below the 50-week moving average without touching the 200-week first. Never. So 50-week, 100-week, 200-week. They throw it on the chart. We're just going to ignore the 100 because it's not pertinent to this data. But basically, you close below the 50-week, you will always touch the 200-week, and it says without exception. So let's go to the weekly here. And so it's basically saying because we close this week here, we're guaranteed to go to this blue line, which is right now currently at 66K.
Yeah, which if it takes a little bit longer could creep up towards 68, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and let's just, you know, it will start to curve down because we're losing that upward momentum there. So maybe instead of like this, it starts to look a little like that. So and maybe it's going to be in the 70s.
Yeah,
if it happens sooner, I mean, you might be saying something like 69.
Yeah, 69 is where it's right where it should be, so to speak. Previous cycle all-time high. That's kind of what I'm saving that last third of my cash for. But
anything below 70, just start deploying.
Oh yeah,
I think
mean,
it's a good strategy.
I'm probably deploying in the 70. If we get back to 78, 76, 72, like I probably don't need to wait till the very bottom. We were talking about this in the Discord with somebody yesterday. Like these numbers that seem so important to hit in the short term really do not matter in the long term. Like stressing over if you bought Bitcoin at 10K or 7K, which was, not that long ago, the cycles we were at 10K for a long time. Oh, it fell from 10K to 7K as a 30% drop. And then it fell from 7K back down to 5K for a little while. Some of these really dramatic numbers.
Yeah, we were talking earlier in the week. I was like, well, if it goes to 69, it's only like 16, 17%. It could do that easily.
It could definitely do that easily. And if it does, I'll buy, but I don't care if it goes to 65 and I bought at 75, I don't care because I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, it's going to be over $150,000, over $200,000, and eventually $1 million in my lifetime. And I'm not planning to sell anytime soon. My goal is to just accumulate and accumulate. So,
and TJ's daughter, he's going to the grave with the seed phrase. So you're out of luck. It's Michael Saylor.
Got to make your own money. No handouts in this world.
She's going to start shilling hex to you. Like, well, I got to get the next pump, man. I lost on Bitcoin.
No, that would be a failure as a father if she starts shilling hex.
Cold. All right, well, let's back test this. Is this true? Is this actually accurate? Does it have to hit the blue line? Has it done it every time? Let's go back and close below. Touch the blue line. Damn it. All right, close below. Did touch the blue line, but this was a fake out. So you can see it closed below. We actually closed above, and then we would come and touch the blue line. Here we did not. You can make an argument that because it's slightly close, you can see it open ahead, and you could make an argument that closed below. But let's keep going. Make sure we're on log here. Close below, touch the blue line. Again, kind of the same situation. Shot above and then, so we're not saying straight line. We could peak above the orange line and then touch the blue. Close below, touch the blue. Yet again, you kind of see a little bit of shooting above. And then pretty soon we're going to have no 200-week moving average. Let's see. Yeah, then it ends. And if we look right there, close below and then touch the blue. And the reason we don't have this because Bitcoin was only 200 weeks old on this date right there. So there is no 200-week moving average prior to that. So not guaranteed as a straight line, but guarantee it will touch it. So we could see this, but basically saying it's coming home. Bitcoin's coming home, whether you want it to or not, folks. I'm not making the rules. We're just looking at the data.
Well, that's interesting. I'm glad that's actually very, very useful. So makes it a lot easier to hold and wait for it. And that could be late this year. That could be early next year. Another indicator that we could see 69K, which again, previous cycle all-time high generally marks the bottom. Another thing that's interesting about that 70K level, I think I mentioned this earlier in the week, is right now that's about the cost to produce a Bitcoin, the miner's cost, which almost always the entire time I've been in this space, the cost to produce a Bitcoin almost always sets the floor. And so going back to retest that would be in line with everything we've seen in the past. So a perfect scenario would be go back to 70K, set that floor, do it early, do it December, do it January. Kelly's got a pretty good theory about, we're not really going to blast off until we get the true government reopened. What they passed was kind of like just a 2-month, kick the can down the road. But once that gets pushed through, government spending gets ramped up, everything's going to be great. So let's get the bear market over with quick and then just grind back up. I'm here for it.
There we go. Like Pretty Ricky says, all right, grind with me, Bitcoin, grind with me. Now, we do have a little short squeeze possible, meaning bullish price action. Why? Because open interest is now in the negative. Essentially, you get paid to open a long. Negative funding rates hint at a short squeeze. Daily funding rates cooling dramatically and briefly turn negative. And Binance's neutral funding level near 0.01%. Any dip below signaled short dominance, meaning more people opening shorts versus opening longs. That's typically the sign of a reversal. And when we look at the liquidation heat map, you can see it right here, starting to disappear all the bright color below us and starting to line up and getting a lot of people greedy for the market to go down. They want to make money. Hopefully they're going to lose some money. Now, TJ mentioned the JP Morgan news there. Should be pretty big. We'll see if JP Morgan's clients accept this or reject this. There was one take here. The house always wins. if you think JP Morgan is going to offer something to even their featured clients, their favorite, Jamie Dimon's brother-in-law, okay? If you don't think the house is always going to win, you're not listening. You're not an adult. You're a child still, and mentally. So I'm going to go ahead and say I don't think JP Morgan's clients are going to buy this in any serious manner. But we'll see. If they do, very, very bullish for crypto.
Yeah, why do you say when you say who's the house?
JP Morgan.
JP Morgan. Yeah, and so you're saying you think they're going to
JP Morgan's clients are going to not, JP Morgan is offering this to their clients for a reason because the house always wins. So they're going to fleece them with fees is my guess. Not fleece them, they're not going to be like, "Oh my God, I lost all my money due to the fees," but I think they'll just be better off buying spot Bitcoin.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, this gives them a pretty high upside for people that don't want to buy direct Bitcoin, and it kind of minimizes their downside. Like their downside is you end up just holding IBIT. The upside is you get paid a premium if it overperforms. To me, it seems like a no-brainer. I imagine that they will. I think, generally speaking, not always. Obviously, they'll roll products out that don't always hit. But if they're rolling something like this out, they probably already are being asked for it. They know there's demand for it. Wouldn't surprise me at all if the bank themselves are involved in this trade as well, or at least, again, like you said, high-ranking individuals within it. So either way, just the fact that they're offering something like this, JP Morgan is probably as close to alignment with the government as you can get for a bank. They've kind of been the banker for the U.S. government kind of since the beginning, kind of pre-Civil War even. They kind of came up selling bonds during the Civil War. So their game is the bond game. Nobody does bonds like JP Morgan, and so this
and
to
Sean
me,
Connery too.
This to me is the beginning. We've been talking about bit bonds on this channel, or Bitcoin backed bonds. This is a sign of the future, in my opinion, regardless of what happens in the short term. This is exceptionally bullish. You got MicroStrategy out there kind of alluding to themselves being a bank. I saw an interesting theory. I still call it MicroStrategy. It's Strategy B, technically, with the Bitcoin B afterwards. And somebody was talking about how there's a concept in branding and marketing with having a transitional brand to kind of have, and I think that's what Strategy's doing. They went from MicroStrategy, Strategy with the B, and I think ultimately will become Strategy Bank. And it will be a Bitcoin-backed bank. Now, there's some hurdles they have to get over before they can accomplish that regulatory-wise, licensing, and all that sort of stuff. But I do anticipate that's where MicroStrategies or Strategy is heading, and it's getting interesting. I do think, I've said many times, I think Aave is going to be the number one bank in the world, and they're coming for it with deposits and stuff. JP Morgan is now playing catch up, and they're not going to die, but they're definitely in adapt mode, and they can go right to the top with selling the largest volume with bonds, and they can sell them to the wealthiest people in the world, governments, all that sort of stuff. So it'll be interesting to see this play out, but there's nothing fundamentally that says anything bearish in the long term for Bitcoin. So I would take any dip. I see chat going back and forth. What do you think, DZ? Should it go to 6.7 or should it go to 69K? That's the big debate. Which one's better? I think
69,670.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, you're gonna take both sides of it. There you go. Just like JP Morgan would.
There you go, JP Morgan. Just real quick, if I had like a JP Morgan client is buying this, so they pay a fee to JP Morgan. JP Morgan is buying an IBIT, so they pay a fee to BlackRock. BlackRock is using Coinbase custody, so they pay a fee to Coinbase. And so you start adding all the fees. That's why I just. Folks, spot Bitcoin, self-custody. That is the move, folks. There's the move. Avoid all the fees. House always wins. Now, Polymarket did just get approved by the CFTC for intermediated trading, aka you could trade through the brokerage. So you still got to be an accredited investor, but still a really, really good step in the right direction. Polymarket also now becoming one of the most viewed websites in the world. They got 15 million monthly visitors in October, up 80% from August. Coinbase, however, down over the same period. So Polymarket brand recognition is that the exchange is still not live for Americans to trade. So this is just really, really good news for Polymarket, looking very, very bullish for just basically everybody can start opening predictions, but they're bets essentially. Everybody can start open bets. You're not going to get, gatekeeped. You don't have to use a VPN here. So they did win this regulatory approval to operate the U.S. trading platform. CFTC issued the amended order of designation so they can now operate an intermediated trading platform subject to the full set of requirements applicable to the federally regulated U.S. exchanges. A whole lot of legalese there. Basically results in them onboarding brokerages and customers directly facilitating trading on U.S. venues. Now, this come about 5 months after they closed an investigation into Polymarket. If you remember, they raided the founder's home, Copeland, as part of the probe into the prediction market. And if we look, this post right here was Shane Copeland. So he's like, thanks, guys. Thanks. No hard feelings. Thank you, regulators. Don't end me, please.
Yeah, heck of a story. Obviously, came to fame during the elections, obviously, because it was predicting everything with such accuracy.
Then, the Biden DOJ raided his house.
Stole
Some
all his
say
computers.
it was, reactionary. It was an escalatory response because he disagreed with some of this Coinbase economic advisors polling numbers.
Yeah.
But now we're starting to go in a little tinfoil. I don't even say it's tinfoil hat, but it's not too related to crypto. So let's get back to crypto here. Total 3 ES breaking down, not up. Weekly candle shown. I feel like it's Colin's first time looking at a total 3 ES chart. Total 3 ES, if you don't know, it's total crypto market cap, excluding Bitcoin, ETH, and stablecoins. That's the 3S. ES. I don't know. He missed the E there. Bitcoin dominance also breaking down. So we got total 3 ES heading down, Bitcoin dominance breaking down. But is it? I don't know. When I look at it, it looks a little almost bullish to me, TJ. So this is the weekly chart. You can see, it lost its structure there. This is on this is on a log. So, a little dubious right there out the gate. It's just kind of looking at all of the altcoins minus ETH. Okay, don't count stablecoins. So this is all of the altcoins. All of the altcoins look like they're about to break down, but TJ, I got a little bit of a hopium for the altcoin holders. You're holding too much Solana. You're holding too much Chainlink. You're holding too much Cardano. You're holding too much whatever. If you look at the daily shifts are signaling a shift, a reversal here, potentially. I'm not saying guaranteed. Could still get a little, bullish div, meaning we could push a little bit lower as the RSI goes a little bit higher. But you see the RSI hit very, very oversold on the daily. So what happens to the total 3 ES when it's this oversold on the daily? Do we get reversals or do we go a little bit lower? It looks pretty good, if I'm just going to be honest. This was a Pico bottom. That's the August 24 crash. Got a little close, but boom, that was the bottom. Keep going. We got another one right here. Boom. That was the bottom. We would come close to revisiting, but that was the bottom. And if we go right here, boom, yet another bottom. And this was a pretty good pump. That was a 70% pump for those altcoins. But there was a move to the downside. It actually shot a little bit lower. So you would actually only break even if you sold it at the top. Altcoins would fall another 40% there. So a little bit of a mixed bag, but I would say mostly bullish. This is the only time it looked kind of terrible. And this is May 22. I think that was the first of the collapses. So we had exchanges going down there.
Go back.
So that's kind of an outlier.
Go back to current. I just want to see how low is it. It's touching it. Yeah, it's not as deep as some of those other ones, but it's right on that line as far as the RSI, like how deep into that red it's going. Yeah, interesting.
So good news, potentially. We could be seeing a little reversal. Weekly, it does look terrible. I'll go ahead and give you that, especially the Heiken Ashi. Maybe regular candles looks not as bad. Regular candles, you see a green candle potential forming a reversal there. So looks pretty good. How about ETH? Speaking of altcoins, since 2016, the best time to buy ETH, to accumulate ETH, has come when the MVRV, the market value to realized value Z-score, drops below 0. It's really close to 0, folks. Let's zoom in on this graphic so we can see a little bit better. There we go. There we go. There we have the MVRV hitting 0 or below 0. That was the bottom when it hit here. That went a little bit lower, but it very quickly found a bottom. And then this was the year-long bear market where it did, again, go a little bit lower, but very, very close to a bottom time-wise. Very close to a bottom time-wise. Was the bottom there. And if we go right here, was the bottom there as well. So now it's starting to look like the risk-reward ratio for ETH is getting a little bit bullish, folks. I don't hate ETH buys, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, it's a good time to accumulate, even if you believe it might go a little bit lower. Again, accumulating on dips, holding. I
And
saw a
you
really
can't
good
time the
post.
exact bottom. So yeah, you want to edge in.
Yeah, well, yeah. The interesting. I saw a really good post. I meant to share it, but we can at least talk about it today. It was talking about you need to being bearish. You don't want to be bearish at the bottom, right? You want to be bearish at the top when everybody else is bullish. So you
Yeah, I
kind
covered
of
that yesterday. Yeah, the psychology of that. I did a
yeah,
whole
you
little
want to
deep
be
dive on that. Yeah.
yeah, you want to be counter, So it's like I'm not scared that excited about these prices now while everybody else is telling me it's going to go lower. That's good. Being you want to be bearish at 150K, not at 80K.
Yeah.
You want to be bullish
Yeah.
at 80K and bearish at 150. So you kind of have to flip your mindset on that. And when everybody else is excited about how much higher it's going to be going, when like middle of next year, when everybody's freaking out because it's 150 and we're going to 200, 250, that's when you're like, where can I find my bearish case now?
Mm-hmm.
That's, so.
All right. Now, speaking of bearish, one thing I'll never be bearish on, Snack. A little Cardano news. Big moment for Snack. We kind of cover this proposal. If you don't know, Cardano has a large governance system where you can tap into their underlying funds. And if you got a good idea, the Cardano holders, they designate people and they vote on it. If it's a good idea, you get some money. If not, hopefully the market will resolve into the negative. So they just got a $5 million treasury withdrawal. And essentially, they're looking at a Binance listing there. Also, Night is coming pretty soon. It looks like that's going to be December 8th. If you're wondering about Night, go stake your ADA at DZ Pool. Let's talk about XRP. Do you hold some XRP? Type in XRP in the chat. Some people are like, stop covering XRP. But then we got, I think, a decent XRP community out there. It is a very popular coin for retail. So I do want to show bullish news for XRP. This is very, very bullish here. They pulled in a little bit of money from the ETFs, $164 million to start the week. 164. What about the other ones? Get out of my way. Bitcoin, ETH, and Solana, all lower than XRP. 150, 97, and 58 million versus the 164 million for XRP. TJ, in one sentence, what's your theory? Why does Wall Street love XRP more than Bitcoin, Solana, or ETH?
I think it's been around a long time. They know the brand recognition. Like, it's been on Bloomberg since 2017. It has stood up the test of time. It has a hard cap. It has performed well. There's a lot of reasons that they would like it comparatively. So, I mean, you look at its performance over the last year or so, it's definitely outperformed a lot of the rest of the market, and it's a large cap, stood the test of time.
I actually pulled up the XRP BTC chart. I'm glad you said that. I actually almost wasn't even going to show it, but XRP community, you guys are coming in. You're coming in strong. Mine shares high. XRP thumbs up. Yeah, there's some detractors. Dion Fresh, he says it is not fresh. It is streets behind, if anything. XRP is fast and secure from my experience there. Let's look at XRP priced in Bitcoin. Go ahead.
No, I'm just gonna say, this guy said XRP sucks, and you guys know I'm quick and easy to jump on that train. I'm not a big fan of their marketing practices. However, like 89% of crypto projects don't have much of a use case, don't have users, don't do what they say they're going to do. So, XRP hasn't delivered on their promises, but their token price has held up okay.
They promised to release $1 billion out of the escrow wallet, and they come through with that one. All right, well, let's give some bullish TA here. This is 50-week moving average and the 200-week moving average. Same color as earlier. 50 is going to be orange, 200 is going to be blue. Look at XRP priced in Bitcoin. So this is the amount of Satoshis. Right now, it's around 2,500 Satoshis on the dot. XRP bounced off the 50-week moving average beautifully in June 2025. And then also used it as support very, very well earlier. Now, it does have a long-term support, which the October 10th wick went to almost perfectly. So when you look at XRP, does it pay attention to the 50-week and the 200? The answer is short, yes, it does. I mean, you can see it very recently. It certainly did. You can see it kind of acted as a resistance on the daily. If you use this blue line on the daily, it actually shows up pretty well. And if you look... also right here, perfect rejection, a little bit of, price activity there. I'll use it as support right there. XRP might be gaining against Bitcoin in the near term. Now we could give a little downside. maybe there's a limit. Maybe there's a limit to how much upside you're going to be looking at here. If we go to the daily, yeah, that's pretty accurate there. So maybe it's gonna, pump the brakes around this level, but I mean, it
What
looks like
price?
XRP is about a pump
Yeah.
against
How
Bitcoin.
much? What is
It's
that?
only
13%?
13%.
Yeah.
But against
But,
Bitcoin, people will take that. If Bitcoin's going from 80 to 120, that means your XRP is gaining more relatively.
Yeah, it gets you closer to that 550, 589 kind of range we've talked about. $5, not 500, just for the XRP army that gets excited out there. $5.89 is achievable for XRP in 2026. And again, hard cap, right? And if they print a bazillion more dollars, that's going to be good for XRP because
It's
they're
not an
making it
infinite
more.
supply like ETH and some other coins out there.
Solana, a lot of them. Yeah.
Or
Basically,
Doge.
the ones we cover, I think it's in the top 10. The only ones that have a hard cap: Bitcoin, Cardano, XRP, right? In the top 10.
Yeah, I believe so. We have Grayscale Dogecoin ETF under expectations. I mean, that's not really much of a surprise. XRP, beating expectations. Doge coming in under expectations. We got more clarity on the Senate activities on these market structure bills. Eleanor Terrett, friend of the channel, she just had an inside source. They just met with some Senate Democrats, and they said the Democrats are going to be having their own bipartisan market structure bill the week of December 8th. And so no word on whether or not this is going to merge with the Senate GOP or the Republican side, but we're getting very, very close. And from the GOP side, they are also saying their texts are ready in early December. So Senate also in session the week after the 8th of December. So it's possible the markups can land the week of the 15th before the members leave for Christmas. As often the case with Congress, though, dates are very rarely concrete. So no guarantee, but we could see another kickstart for a bull run. I would say DeFi is going to do very well here. Just some details. I know they kind of briefly mentioned it yesterday's afternoon stream. Just some clarifying details. Texas bought $5 million of BlackRock's IBIT. Why didn't they self-custody? They said they're going to, just give them a second. And so they made a major Bitcoin move. This is actually massive, snapping up $5 million worth of IBIT with another $5 million lined up for a self-custodied Bitcoin buy. They said they will eventually self-custody Bitcoin, but it's still finalizing the process. The initial $5 million allocation was made with BlackRock's IBIT ETF. TJ, what do you think? They're like guessing or how to do the wallet, how to, are we going to do a multi-sig? Who's get to hold the keys?
Yeah, there's a lot to it. I mean, and a lot of it comes down with, especially with entities this large, it's a lot about legal and compliance and transparency.
Does the governor get to know the seed phrase?
Yeah. How is it stored? Who controls it? With IBIT, that's part of why IBIT has been so successful is, a lot of that stuff is accounted for and in place and has been set up to do this. Whereas with, like you just said, when you're self-custodying it, there's a lot you have to think through. And actually, this is something, if you guys haven't done this yet, this is something I literally just, let me pull this up. Had a call with somebody the other day talking about security and, not chain of command. What's the phrase I'm looking for?
Custody? Chain of
custody?
When
you pass something down to your next generation. I don't know why I'm blanking on what it is.
Not the chain of custody, but okay.
No, when you when you pass things down to your state, what is that called? I don't know why I'm blanking. A succession plan, or like a plan to pass it down to the next person. So this governor's out, that governor's in. How do we transfer this? Who has keys to inheritance? That was the thing I was looking for. But if you guys haven't looked into this yet, it's definitely getting to be more and more of an issue. Casa.io, Jameson Lopp, he's been around the space for a long time. He's a security nut. And they really do. You can have individuals, organizations. So what I would recommend people looking into is this premium. They can help you set up with a vault, 5-key vault. They can do Bitcoin, Ethereum, USDT, USDC. They can help you pass it down to different individuals, create sub account. So some of this does take a little bit of technical understanding. And then once you understand the technicals, you have to get your legal and compliance team to understand it and be okay with it and approve it and sign off on it and all that sort of stuff. So Casa, I'll drop this in the chat for you guys, is a really good one. I highly recommend it. It's something I've been working on myself. Especially when you start to hear more and more of those wrench attacks going on. You want to make sure you don't have access to large amounts of funds on your phone, at your house, that sort of stuff.
You don't want to be we covered the crypto criminal story. San Francisco guy had $11 million in crypto stolen from him from
And
Sam Altman's ex-boyfriend's house.
exactly. And this is getting more and more common. Fast forward another 5 or 10 years, it's going to continue to ramp. We've heard of a lot of exchange founders getting grabbed. And they say you've got a couple hundred grand in crypto right now, that will be $1 million in 5 or 10 years.
Yeah. And
So-
if you don't think Sam Altman's ex-boyfriend doesn't live in a nice neighborhood, you're probably
yeah.
mistaken.
The guy got in faking as a UPS delivery person, so you're getting through gates, you get into the door, and then they just show up with a Glock. And then what are you going to do? You gotta have a plan in place for when that happens. So CASA is one of the best for that. And same for the state of Texas. They don't want, you got to get attorneys on board usually when you're dealing with state public funds. And so there's a lot of compliance there. Like I said, iBit's built for that. But it's cool that they want to self-custody and they're heading that direction. I like that.
Yeah. Huge news. Now, speaking of Texas, this is a great quote from Pierre Rochard from Bitcoin Bond. In 5 years, we went from governments will ban Bitcoin to governments are only buying a small amount of Bitcoin. Hyper Bitcoinization has happened, is happening, and will continue to happen. I saw your comment about AVAX. You don't talk about AVAX anymore. Well, this is the AVAX ETH chart. This is a chart I've been talking about a lot. Now, we did have a breakdown. I thought this was going to be, a little bit bullish, but then October 10th happened and kind of messed up I would say our support. It screwed up the support for AVAX. Again, this is Avalanche priced in Ethereum. If you look, it's kind of still listening to this parallel range that has been in. And let me give you a little bit of hopium. We have a bull div forming on weekly candles. And if you look at the last time we had a bull div on the weekly, it's this period right here. That period right there. So AVAX pumped against ETH 300% last time we saw a similar structure. So I wouldn't give up on AVAX at this point, but I would give up on your fiat. I would give up on the cash in your pocket, no matter the country you're from. Balaji, I say he's one of the smartest people out there. Him and Naval Ravikant. I try to consume everything that they're putting out there because these guys definitely know their stuff. Balaji, his crypto connection is he's the first CTO for Coinbase.
Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure if
That's
one or both of them were early investors in Polymarket, like angel investors.
Yeah, I think they both were. They're both angel, if I'm not mistaken. They're also both Zcash shills there. So, but Balaji, he has the network school, the network state. He's like in Forest City, in Myanmar or somewhere like that. But the cost of living crisis is really a sovereign debt crisis. Sovereign debt crisis just means they're printing too much money. And so the cost of living crisis is really from over printing. You can only print and borrow for so long. It causes problems in the long run, like the Eagles say. And the long run is here. And he has 6 charts that kind of detail this. I don't want to go too deep into it, but if you look, the yellow and the red, these are the long-term yields. People, when this goes higher, it means people need a premium that I don't know if Japan can pay me back in 20 years. I don't know if Germany can pay me back. I don't know if the US can pay me back in 2 decades or a decade from now. And so if you're unsure if the US can pay you back in 2 decades, you want a premium on a IOU that is dated for 20 years. But you don't need that premium for the IOU that's only 2 years because you're like, all right, well, I'm pretty sure America will be here in 2 years. But 20 years, I don't know. It's a coin toss. Look, normally you don't see divergences this bad unless it's somewhat of a crisis. They move in tandem. Look how they move in tandem. Orange and yellow, or the red and the yellow, move in tandem with the black and the blue. So you can see it moving in tandem. Everything's moving in tandem. Everything is they're hey, you can pay me back in 2 years, you can pay me back in 20 years. Now we're starting to see the shift. This is from excessive printing. Look at the divergence for Germany. Not as bad as US. Look at the divergence for Japan. Look at the divergence for France. France makes a lot of sense. Look at Italy, not so bad. I guess probably that new president. But look, and then you got the UK, also a giant divergence. So people are betting on UK, Germany, Japan, US. You're not going to be able to pay your debt in 20 years. This is screaming buy Bitcoin. I can't make it more clear. Very, very clear signal to buy Bitcoin. Speaking of Spain, I don't want to say the leftists over there, but their equivalent of Democrats, the more liberal minded coalition, wants to have a 47% tax against Bitcoin. They're calling it a tax against Bitcoin, and would change how crypto profits are taxed, shifting from non-financial instrument assets into general income which raised the top rate to 47% instead of the current 30%. Now, capital gains tax is capped at 20% in America. So kind of going from their 30% cap to a 47%. It's also Spain. So left-wing political alliance. It's also a junior partner of their Socialist Party. So it's part of their Socialist Party voting bloc. And another controversial element, they want to classify all crypto as attachable assets eligible for seizure. So they want to be able to tax you 50%, and then they also want to be able to seize it. You know, people are kind of make fun of it, but the tax agency, they've been warning crypto holders for about taxes for years. They sent out 300,000 warning notices in 22, 600,000 warning notices in 2023. And then that kind of takes me to their debt to GDP ratio. Oh, it's around 100%, meaning for the credit card bill is equal to what they pull in. That's also not a great sign there. And then you look at what's happening in Thailand. They're stealing your money. 3 million Thai citizens woke up to find every bank account they owned frozen overnight. No warning, no specific reason. You couldn't buy fuel, food, or even medicine. And banks just said they're investigating suspicious activity. Many still can't access their money months later. And what do they end up doing? Oh, they have a biometric digital ID transaction monitoring system that they're now pushing globally. So the signs are out there. Get your Bitcoin, self-custody of that Bitcoin, exit the fiat system. So not only do they not want you to exist, they see themselves not existing potentially in 20 years. And so they're fighting like a cat you're trying to throw in the bathtub. They're trying to scratch the hell. They're doing everything in their power to maintain control, but the control is quietly slipping away. Some say loudly if you're paying attention to the signs there. But that is the show. I don't know if you had any thoughts, TJ.
No, I think that's a great way to end it. I mean, I think you're 100% right. It is, you're missing. Now is the time. It's getting loud. If you're awake and you're paying attention, the signs have never been more clear. Bitcoin is the answer. Exit the fiat system. It is failing. A lot to be grateful for that we have that exit. If we, for many, many years, people didn't have that exit. So it's a universal, beautiful thing. Bitcoin around the world, fix the money, fix the world, or save the money, save the world, as they say. We'll see if that plays out. But
and I tell you what, this weekend, maybe Thanksgiving, maybe the day after, I'll make a video on if you are just like, all right, I want some stable coins for a bear market or in case things move sideways. I'll look at some yield opportunities. I'll look at some yield. I'll start with my bank or a bank that's probably like 0.0001%. And then we'll go up to, maybe I'll probably cap it around 10-20%. I think after that, you start going into high risk territory.
At the bank, they lock the pens on the desk. They don't even want you to take a pen. They don't
can't even take a pen. They used to give me a toaster. Now they give me nothing but a glare.
Yeah, they won't even give you a high five. They're like, why are you here? Why don't you could do this online,
Yeah.
All right.
Why are you bothering us? All right. Well, bother us and hit that like button, folks.
We're going to be off for the next couple days, but we love you guys. We'll see you soon. We'll see you in the Discord. We just wanted to take a quick second to shout out our sponsor, Arculus. They are a cold storage hardware wallet, helps you secure all of your digital assets for the future. Just tap this thing to the back of your phone and boom, you're in. We wouldn't be able to do this without them, but also wouldn't be able to do this without you guys, the Disco fam. You've supported us a lot over the years. If you want to support the channel now, just use the code DC20. It gets you 20% off this card. It's the #1 way you can support this channel going forward. Thank you for your support. We'll see you at the top.